Deliberative for me, we think about strengths as being innate for us. And I think that deliberative is one of those strengths that for me has always been very internal and very visceral. Now that I've learned about it, it gives me the power to also continue to sit back and observe and listen and be able to give informed opinions in a space that may slow down some of the folks in the influencing bucket a little bit and say, hey, watch out for this pothole. You're going to hit it if you stick on the route you're on.
Hello, and welcome back to Coach. And today we are talking about deliberative. I have with me Mark and Paula, and this strength is one that you're going to want to stay tuned. This is a really great one to build on, learn about, and understand. It's one of the rarest 5 strengths in the world. At least it goes in and out of that list from time to time. And our 2 guests today are experts in this strength. And so, Mark, you have it number 1. If you could tell us the rest of your 5, where you're coming in from, and then a little bit about what you do.
I would love to. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having us. My top 5 are deliberative, relator, consistency, adaptability, and restorative. I hail from Boston, born and bred in Massachusetts, and I'm an executive leadership coach for the past 3 years. And prior to that, I spent about 25 years in the corporate high-tech space and about 20 years in leadership.
Very cool. Thank you, Mark. Paula.
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you for having us as well. So my top 5 are input, deliberative, mark you in, intellection, individualization, and strategic. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm the CHRO for the city of Centennial, Colorado. I've been there almost 13 years, and prior to that, I hail from primarily the financial services sector.
From financial services to the city of Centennial, the award-winning city of Centennial. We should mention that up front. Very few government agencies make it onto any sort of best place to work category, and I believe you're 10 years running. Is that right?
Actually, we're 8. We have won 8 years. However, I'll tell you a secret. Just among us, we just received our Q12 results from the latest survey. We have a 91% engagement rate.
Wow.
So I expect we'll be invited for a 9th, maybe.
91 is world class. For those of you that don't know, employee engagement, that can be a really sticky number to move inside of an organization. My firm at 34 Strong, we do extensive work with government, and let me tell you, a 91% is amazing to have. And you don't have a small team. You guys have a pretty good sized crew over there, right? About
100.
Yeah, just about 100, which is that's a sizable unit to be able to measure and get results. Great job on that, Paula. I'm going to let you go first, telling us all about deliberative.
Wow. So the deliberative for me, we think about strengths as being innate for us. And I think that deliberative is one of those strengths that for me has always been very internal and very visceral. So it was something that I knew I had. I was always told I was a very serious child. I would sit, when I met new people, I was very reserved. I would sit back and watch and observe rather than engage it, for instance, in group activities. But until I learned about strengths and learned what that was specifically, I thought it was just kind of this weird anomaly of me that I'm kind of not antisocial, but just, almost shy. So now that I've learned about it and can turn it much more intentionally, it gives me the power to also continue to sit back and observe and listen and be able to give informed opinions in a space that may slow down some of the folks in the influencing bucket a little bit and say, hey, watch out for this pothole. You're going to hit it if you stick on the route you're on.
Very good. Thank you, Paula. Mark, you want to build on that?
I will build on that. I love that, Paula, by the way. And for me, it's a little different. I think it's a little less internal. It's a little more outward. It's a little more really falls into that execution domain for me. It's, I ooze deliberative in how I operate and how I get things done. So I'm constantly assessing and reassessing, not necessarily risk, although certainly risk, but the things that are going to get in my way. And it also manifests for me in sort of this, you mentioned the word innate natural intention, Brandon. So, in coaching, we often are trying to help our clients find their intention, be clear, and sort of align their actions and their values to what their intention is. Well, for me, that's just kind of there. I kind of know what my intention is, and then I'm very deliberate in taking steps forward to put that into action.
Very cool. Now, you two have one of those great top 5 reports where no two outside of deliberative are the same. And just in listening to you talk about your top 5, I had all sorts of questions like, Mark, deliberative and adaptability? Really? Like,
Right?
I'm so curious. And so I, as you two may know, and we talked about this ahead of the recording, it really builds on as you two both talk about each other's strengths as you connect. And so start to think about, where do you want to start with each other and where you want to build? But I do want to say a little bit about just the innate aspect of strengths. And, one of the paradigms we've learned to use at our company is the idea of core and growth strengths. And so those strengths that are genetically coded, they are who we are. It's your eye color, it's your physique and mannerisms that you inherit. And so some of our strengths, they are like what we like to call the ride or dies. You're probably not getting a new version of it, so make the most of it because it's who you are and how you're showing up. And then, next to that would be the growth strengths. So the ones that we decide we need for however that takes shape in life, mostly centered around some sort of need, whether it was a food insecurity as a child, or it was, you had to find, you were fending for yourself, or early childhood traumas that can affect us and shape who we are. And, so major life events all throughout our developmental years can help these strengths become like core to us. They become very much who we are. And strengths is going to measure both. And so as we think about these top 5, and you both, said innate, and then I love how Mark described outward, the beautiful part about CliftonStrengths is they're broad. So these themes are broad. And so there's so much around what you can learn with each one. And so with that, Mark, I'm going to ask you to tell us two how deliberative and adaptive, because friends, there are strengths that are like peanut butter and jelly. Like you find one, you're finding the other. Like they're super common. They just make sense. Mark's deliberative restorative. I've seen that combo a ton of times. So many times I've seen those two work side by side. Deliberative adaptability, I don't think I've ever seen it. So this is for me a first. And in a few moments, I'm going to go over to Paula because she dropped a bomb on me pre-session and said her number 8 is Activator. Now, all of you activators, just take a breath. I know it's not allowed. Deliberatives are not allowed to be activators also, but here we are. And so we're going to get to hear about how does that work to have both sides. I mentioned on the front end of today's broadcast that I am a number 35 deliberative or somewhere in that ballpark. I lead with Activator. First time I took this, it was number 1, and it pretty much lives in my life that way. And so we're getting to learn and understand with each other today how they're going to connect to their strengths. So Mark, if you'd like to go first and tell us about your deliberative adaptability, and we'll build from there.
I'd love to. And I think what I'll say first is I am so thankful for my adaptability because it truly helps me soften that deliberative, which again, I ooze tremendously. But Brandon, I'm also going to bring in consistency here, right? Because deliberative is that intention. Consistency is the process that I put into to take action. And then adaptability just allows me to not be so rigid so that I can actually get things done with other people and what have you. So that adaptability just allows me to be present in the chaos, be deliberate with my intention. And then that consistency, again, is the process that I've built to make all of that happen.
Paula, do you have any questions for him based on that?
I don't at this time. I'd like to explore a little bit about, you said that for you, deliberative does really drive from the execution space. And so I think you've described that to a nice extent. I'd like to hear more about that. Mine tends to, I think, connect more within the strategic thinking space. And so the difference there, I'd love to hear a little bit more about.
I mean, it sits in that execution domain, Paula, because we all take great and serious care in the decisions that we make for executing. So for me, it's really all about getting things done. It's all about execution. I am 3 steps ahead. I am identifying risk. I am identifying those potholes. I'm seeing around the corner, all about what my day is going to look like, what the project's going to look like, what my approach with even building relationships, which in this context is executing on building relationships. So I am deliberate in everything I do and everything I say as I go about life.
Has your deliberative ever been in a slower space? Has it? I like to think about deliberate. The 3 phases of deliberative in a raw state is no. For instance, you take somebody, an activator or an achiever, very often they're go. And deliberative in a productive space, to me, is more whoa. It's kind of in between. Has yours ever been in that no space?
I love the whoa, by the way. Yes, absolutely. I've done a lot of work, a lot of personal and professional introspection, exploration. It was very raw for a long time. It held me back for a long time. What I found as the unlock was, 1, gaining the awareness around it, but 2, communicating, right? Which is, here's why I'm taking a little bit more time. Here's why I haven't jumped to doing what you've advised me to do, because I'm giving it some thought. And as soon as I started to communicate, rather than keep that internal, it really started to open up from the no to the okay, and then to the whoa.
You know how we start our coaching business on a high, only to get absolutely overwhelmed by the business side of things? We're suddenly supposed to be a full-time salesperson, marketing funnel maker, email marketing expert, social media manager, customer service rep, and tech expert all in one. Yeah, overwhelm. Well, Lisa Cummings, our strengths coach friend, created a membership that gives you an insane member vault that will blow your mind. All the tools, systems, and templates to save you time and money. It's the actual assets Lisa used at Lead Through Strengths to build a successful strengths coaching business. All the assets are yours to customize and make your very own. She even gives you 2 years worth of emails you can use to serve your customers. So check it out at podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths. Again, podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths from Lisa Cummings.
Yeah, you and I are very simpatico there then too, because I think that's kind of the bad rap, Brandon, that deliberative gets, is that we can come across as the party of no. And as when we learn about that's where we're coming from and we can be intentional about it, as Mark says, then we can go to just hang on a second, let me think about that for a minute and digest it and process, and then come with constructive ways to navigate through the objections.
And I'll add one more thing, Brandon, and it's going to be worth the wait, right? It's going to be worth the wait. So just give me a minute.
Okay, Paula, what about that activator with that deliberative?
So it's really, again, it is so much the glory of learning about our own strengths and understanding that once we get in touch with them and attune to them, that we can be so much more intentional about using them. So on the one hand, my activator is incredibly impatient. Patience has never been one of my virtues and probably never will be. So, my husband and I have a language. He's done strengths, I've done strengths. So he doesn't say, Paula, don't be so impatient. He just tells me to dial down the activator, right? When I'm just itching to go. But deliberative, on the other hand, for me, is very much Murphy's Law. I absolutely believe 100% that if something could go wrong, it will. And so I contingency plan around that. So here's what activator deliberative might sound like. Well, hurry up, hurry up. We have to leave for the airport now because if we don't, there's going to be a car accident and we're going to be late and we're going to miss our plane. So they come together and they help each other. Activator, I lead with strategic thinking, which can be a little slow. Activator creates motion for me and those around me and helps me move and keep that train going.
I think all of us deliberatives need something to soften it, need something to give us a little bit of a kick. For you, it's activator. For me, it's my command and self-assurance, which are at 7 and 8. And so my deliberative, while yes, I'm gonna assess it, I'm gonna reassess it, I'm gonna deliberate, I'm gonna think about all the things that could go wrong. My self-assurance also just says, you know the right path. Just go. Just go. And my command says, and I'm gonna take charge when I do it. So that's my softener. Activator's your softener. Aren't we so thankful to have them? Because I'm not sure if I'd ever get out of that no without some deep therapy and coaching if I didn't.
And does your restorative, I have restorative at 10. And so the way deliberative restorative plays is I'm attuned to seeing a problem, but I also relish fixing it. So and there's just it's fun having a puzzle to fix. So that almost works. And my activator says I have to fix it right now. So how does your restorative work with command, self-assurance?
Same for me. Same for me. And it helps me tremendously in the workplace when I was in corporate. I mean, we all try to solve problems, right? Isn't that one of the mantras? Solve problems. And it tremendously gets in my way, especially when leading people and leading teams. My deliberative and my restorative, when people came to me as a leader with big ideas, great ideas, fun ideas, I would shoot holes. I would shoot them down and shoot holes through them rapid fire because I could see 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. This isn't going to work, and here's why. And it was a horrible experience for the people that I worked with. And they stopped coming back with their ideas. And I had to really learn from that.
How did you learn that?
Through coaching.
Yeah, we all want to know.
Yeah, through coaching, through trial and error, through making some big mistakes with people and having them leave my team. Yeah, I'd say that's how.
I appreciate you sharing that. Being an activator, top 5, it's kind of fun to tease us because we're so out there. I mean, we're so ready, fire, aim that, we're easy targets because it's just big, it's loud, it's out there. And deliberative, though, I appreciate you bringing that up because it has its own, set of barrier labels that it has to work through. And an honest activator is going to go, yeah, I have made some serious messes. I have made some massive mistakes. Yes, I have been impetuous. Yes, I have said things I should not have said and done things that should have been thought through. Yes, I should have partnered with more deliberatives. And yet deliberatives, I think it's great when one has arrived at the level of self-awareness you're operating from to say, I can now look and understand why people stopped coming. I can see what that was and how it related. And I think for all of the strengths, when we give ourselves permission to develop and be developed and grow. And so you mentioned coaching. What else helped with that for you? I know as an activator, I paid a lot of tuition for my mistakes and you hope to learn from those tuition. Is that similar for a deliberative? Do you learn as okay, I don't like that result. I need to come back and try again?
For sure. I mean, as we know, strengths aren't what we do or how we do it. And so I had some great leaders that I worked for too that were patient with me and just really trying to identify, what do I really want? What kind of a leader do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Do I want to be a leader where people are afraid to come to tell me their ideas? When I'm already slow to change and innovate because of my deliberative? No, I need innovation. I need ideation. I need my team coming to me, and it wasn't happening. And Brandon, to your point, I was getting labeled as risk averse. I was getting labeled as slow to change. I was getting labeled as a leader who didn't innovate. And a lot of it was true. And so in terms of barrier labels, yes, those were some tremendous ones that hurt because I knew I wasn't slow to change. I knew that I couldn't innovate, but that's how I was showing up. That's the perception that people were having with me.
Paula, how could you relate to that?
No, I do very much. I mean, I think that, one of my favorite spaces is the brainstorming space. I love to just hear about what people are dealing with and help them explore. Of course, I have to ask them up front, are you just venting? Do you just want to talk? Do you want a thought partner, or do you want help in solving something? So we need to be clear on that up front. But if they think I'm coming in with a no, or I'm looking for what's wrong in their argument, then it's a non-starter. And like Mark, one gets a reputation of, well, Paula's just going to say no. So learning the hard way and really discovering the power of partnerships. So I am, probably my two greatest partners and good friends, one being my husband, the other being a colleague at the city, lead in relationship. And so I've learned to say to them, okay, this is what I want to say to this person. They say, I get exactly where you're coming from. Don't say it that way. Right. So so I'm like, can I borrow your empathy here for a minute and help me articulate this? Or your includer number 34 for me. Can I borrow some of your strengths here for a minute to help me soften, to help me think about how will people respond to me when I come with this question or this argument?
Paula, you mentioned coming stronger from the strategic thinking space, and 3 of your top 5 live in that domain. So the input, intellect, and strategic. So I could see where deliberative for you. I've always thought of deliberative, lives in that space where it's almost as much thinking as it is a doing. It's almost when I thought, did they get this in the right bucket? Because it seems so much associated with how one processes information. And so can you take us down that path a bit? Because you have these big heavy hitters of the input, subject matter expertise, resource, in terms of your resource ability to know what is needed in the right space for the right time and where to go get it if you don't. And then the deep thinker, but you also have, strategics are agile. Strategics can really see and move pretty quick. So curious, as you take that grouping, how that shows up.
Do you ever feel lonely as a coach or solopreneur? What if you had a place where you could surround yourself with like-minded coaches who truly get you, where learning, sharing, and growing together is the norm? Connect, Learn, and Share, started by Charlotte Blair, is a vibrant community of CliftonStrengths coaches from around the world. Hosted on the Circle platform, it's a place where you'll find people, processes, and events to help you grow your business, enhance your coaching and facilitation skills, and thrive in a safe, supportive, and collaborative environment. Connect with coaches from diverse backgrounds and experiences. Learn through a calendar of recorded events across time zones, and share your knowledge in a community built on an abundance mindset rooted in strengths. Visit podcast.34strong.com to learn more. Again, podcast.34strong.com to learn more about the Connect, Learn, and Share community.
Yeah, that's right, Brandon. It's a great question. Thank you, because I do align strategic with deliberative, where both of them play forward a path, paths. Both of them have contingency plans if something doesn't go the way we thought it would. Both of them play out through different scenarios. This deliberative assumes things are going to go wrong, and so we contingency plan for that. I also think, though, that the intellection and the learner, which comes in my 6 through 10, the relator that comes in my 6 through 10, they make me and the individualization make me intensely curious about what other people think. And so that gives me an openness to learning from others and listening for others and being attuned to the motion that they create. And that maybe, especially in the business setting where, and many governments are slow and bureaucratic. At the City of Centennial, we are not. We're only 25 years old. There is no way we always did things at all. We're a high achiever organization. We move extremely fast. And so being attuned to that and being able to move at that pace and not slow other people down is critical. So it really is bringing all those things together to listen to the intent and where are we going? What's the destination? And how do we get there in the best, most efficient, cost-effective, customer service friendly way?
It must be a really beautiful mix, Paula, because for me, I don't have a lot of strategic thinking in my top 10. I only have analytical down at number 10, and analytical might as well be the cousin of deliberative, just in a different form. And so I'm a little envious of your intellection mixed with your deliberative, and how the words that were coming out for me as you were talking was strategic care, and how you take strategic care in how you go about finding the path to success.
Thank you. That's very kind.
I have lived in a space before I was enlightened that deliberatives could be a bit of the wet blanket, to use one of the barrier labels I've heard in the past. And then over time, having a very close colleague, companion, good friend, show up so strong and so effective with his deliberative that it really grew on me that we are so fortunate to have that strength on our team. He's the lone, well, we now have two, but he was for a while the lone deliberative. He was the champion of that strength for us. And at times he had to go alone. It was lonely because there's times where his willingness to step into the space that we all needed to hear was really important. And most recently, I've come to understand that we think that when we're talking to people, we can see listening and we can see engagement. And for this team member, the reputation of this team member was that he always had an angry face. It was always this like super serious, like, do you want to reach through here and punch me in the face? Like, what's wrong? Did I say something bad? And in reality, that's just the thinking face. That's all it is it's just a thinking face. Everything under the surface is moving so fast. It's like seeing the little spinner, on your computer. It's just, it's just moving. And so I'm going to ask the two of you to do something for all the deliberatives out there. Tell us why you are so important to us. Tell us why you make such a difference on our teams. And if we have you, how to best leverage this strength to get the maximum highest use. I'm a number one maximizer. And so how do we maximize you as a member of our team? And either of you could jump in first on that.
So I just want to share that I was sitting reading something the other day in a meeting, and my city manager asked me why I was scowling. I'm like, Matt, I'm not scowling. That's just my face. I'm thinking, I mean, it was exactly that. That was the concentration face. But, I will say that we are acutely
Can we just agree, though,
attuned.
that there's nothing wrong with the scowl? I know people have been coached, no, you got to fix your face. But in reality, no, fix your filter. That's a listening face. And it's fair for them to listen the way they think and best receive the information. If you want them to smile and eye contact and do it, that will be so disingenuous. I have literally watched this same colleague try to be that guy, and it was so exhausting. It was so exhausting for him. And so though I know when he's doing it to serve other styles and other strengths, and he knows that he's doing it for that reason, but when he's in his normal, hey, this is me, this is how I view my world, this is the only face I have, this is the one I make, giving room for that, giving space to be authentic to this particular strength. So just free the scowl, deliberatives. Free the scowl.
We appreciate that.
And Paula, you were, coming back to you, we were saying that, you were starting to go down this path of that person in the meeting and then where you can grow this. So please continue.
Yeah. So why do you need us? We are highly attuned to potential risk, and we are very invested as well in seeing through to a successful outcome. So we're able to look ahead at a plan, look at the components of the plan, anticipate different things that might interrupt us or present a barrier, and work through with the team on how we can avoid and work around that barrier. How can we have a successful outcome to get to the destination we're going without hitting that blizzard or that pothole or crashing and burning? So I think I'll ask all of those of you who don't really connect with deliberative to just give us a few moments to think through and come back with solutions and ideas on how you might approach something. And it, as Mark said, it will be worth it.
I love that so much, Paula. I'll add, because sometimes the word risk gets a bad rap too. So we're gonna identify what's gonna get in our way, and we're risk aware. You need us to be risk aware so that we can take the strategic care to make things happen as efficiently and as effectively as possible.
So getting the most out of you, I have found when I want the best from my teammate who's high in deliberative, if I give him advance ahead of the meeting of what's coming, I always get a better outcome. Putting him on the spot is almost cruel. It's because not having the time to deliberate and ponder his thought and go through his process of how he weighs and measures and understands information isn't a very accurate way to, or a very effective way to allow that strength to fully blossom and be what we need it to be. Because as you were talking, Mark, I wrote down, you save us time and money. Like, you save us lots of time and lots of money. And that's where I have seen the greatest advantages of your strengths come through, is that your intention around helping us see around the corner, how to measure risk, looking for what could happen, isn't just to tell us we're wrong. It's to say, I can get ahead of where we're going here, and I can tell you why we want to take a pause, right? Like, give ourselves space here to allow for other options. Let it breathe. Let it breathe a little bit, and then we can come back. And so very helpful from both of you on these parts. I do want to give you a chance to elaborate today for our listeners a little further on where they might find you and, who you're serving these days. I know, Paula, you have your work inside of the CHRO, but you might have other aspects to what you're up to and where people can find you. And so why don't you, Paula, if you want to take it away and let people know where they might connect with you and what you're up to.
Absolutely. So Paula Gibson, if you're interested in connecting, please link me in. That's probably the best way. I do a little coaching on the side, and I'll share another secret. I'll be retiring from the city towards the end of the year, and we'll do a little bit of coaching on the side and having some fun, right? In really the best part of my job. So I'm happy to engage with you and talk about your strengths and certainly about engagement.
And I'm going to add to that, if you work in a municipality and you might want some coaching on how one can have incredible workplace outcomes. I know for some of our listeners, maybe you're not present to what it takes to win workplace awards. There are anonymous surveys sent to the entire group, and they have to report out on key factors. In Paula's case, I believe it's the Q12. So they're reporting out on, and it's rigor. I mean, to say that you're a 5 on, I know what's expected of me. I have material and equipment to do my job right. I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. Those are heavy weighted, and to score 5s, for someone to score 5s on those, they won't lie for you. They'll never lie for you. They will always tell you what needs to be said. And so maybe, Paula, there are some people listening today that are in a similar space that might go, ooh, I'd love to chat with Paula. So LinkedIn, Paula Gibson, where you can find her. And I couldn't endorse her stronger as someone, the work that she's doing. It's that's impressive. So thank you, Paula. And Mark, how about you?
Yeah, same with Paula. You can find me in LinkedIn. So Mark with a C, Brightman. My coaching business is Brightway Coaching and Consulting. You can find that at www.markbrightman.com. As I mentioned, I am a professional coach, so full-time coaching, whether that's strengths coaching, life coaching, career coaching, executive coaching, leadership coaching, helping anyone get unstuck in what they're trying to achieve in their life. And I will take great and serious care in how we go about doing that together. So, Brandon, thank you for having us.
Thank you. So to both of you, really appreciate you taking the time. To our dear listeners, I want to say that if you really gained value from today's episode, and there were a lot of powerful nuggets to take away, please do share this with a friend and let them experience what you're experiencing as they're developing their strengths and thinking about how these strengths interplay and work together. Paula and Mark, always a pleasure, both of you. And friends, we will see you next time on Coach to Coach.
That's a wrap on this episode of Coach to Coach. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're a strengths coach looking to dive deeper, join the Coach Strong community. It's where coaches like you come together to share insights, support one another, and discover partnership opportunities. Be part of the conversations that are elevating our industry. Email community@34strong.com to join today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Coach to Coach. Stay strong.